Here's a big question, and it's an issue that both Ben and I we don't always agree, as you know, but is cash still king? Of course it isn't. The Treasury Select Committee has released a report today talking about the dangers of us becoming a cashless society, warning it will hit the vulnerable hardest.
That's right. Dame Meg Hillier is the chairwoman of the Treasury Select Committee and Labour MP Hackney South and Shoreditch. Good morning to you, Dame Hillier. So just tell us what the outcome could be. What are the risks of us having no cash to spend in the shops?
Well, look, we don't think we've got to that point yet, but we are concerned that it's harder for a lot of people to spend cash. A lot of businesses, parking meters, other services just don't accept cash. So that affects people who, if you're poorer and you're trying to budget, even if you have a credit card, that's £100 at the tap. That's a kind of worrying amount to spend if you're not careful as you're tracking it. And sometimes people haven't got a digital smartphone. And we also have some really compelling evidence about the challenges for people with learning disabilities and people who've fled or are in situations of domestic abuse where their abusers can easily track them digitally, but cash is a lifeline. So there are lots of things that we need to be thinking about as, some people think, oh, it's quite normal. I've got children who, I offered them a £20 note, don't know what to do with it because they're used to seeing everything digitally. And we know that lots of people just do that digital route, but we've got to remember that the people who don't need to be able to use cash and have it accepted in the businesses that they frequent.
I thought there was a really fascinating example in your report, Dame Meg, where you talked about the mother who went to school. She's in an abusive relationship. The school would not let her pay for her child's school meals with cash, and the husband was withholding money. And so this put her in an impossible position. And the school was inflexible and simply wouldn't allow cash to be as a transaction. Is your committee saying that should be made illegal?
Well, we have not got as far as saying that you have to accept cash. We're saying, because one of the things was interesting, Andrew, we couldn't get enough evidence about where cash is accepted, but we did get quite a lot of anecdotal evidence. Some parts of the country you can pay for parking in cash. In my part of London, you pretty much can't. You have to download an app. I remember being in Wales on holiday, and there I was with some cash, but not the right coins for the machine. And thankfully, a good Welsh Samaritan helped me out and actually just gave me some money so that I could pay for the parking. So you have differences in different parts of the country. But that case that you highlight was one that really struck home for the committee. And I think that this is also a wake-up call for businesses and other bodies that you do need to understand that there may be very good reasons why people just can't pay in other ways. And frankly, it shouldn't be beyond the wit of a school or a small business to have a small float of cash, to make sure that people who are in those situations can pay for the services that they want to purchase.
Do you need a little grooming TLC ahead of a big summer? Maybe your beard looking a little bit wild. Are you thinking about a shape-up down there? My advice: you always want to look your best. Let me introduce you to the Beard Hedger and the Lawnmower Bundle. This is the ultimate toolkit to achieve a great look upstairs and down. Now, why don't you join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code GBN for 20% off plus free shipping with the link in the description. The Beard Hedger is for precise beard trimming with 20 adjustable settings, and the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is for everything below the belt. The lawnmower features a dual blade system. It's got interchangeable foil and trimmer blades, plus skin-safe technology to avoid all those nicks and irritations, even in sensitive areas. Both devices are waterproof for easy shower use and for cleaning, with long-lasting power as well, up to 60 minutes for the Beard Hedger and 75 minutes for the lawnmower. The lawnmower even has a built-in LED spotlight, so you're never going to miss a spot, and has a travel lock for grooming on the go. And best of all, Manscaped offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try the bundle totally risk-free. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GBN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code GBN at manscaped.com.
This is a David versus Goliath fight you have on your hands. There are big banks, there are big transnational corporations that would love to see the end of cash, Meg. If you had to predict, how many years do you think you can keep the fight to keep cash in people's pockets?
Well, it's interesting, actually, because obviously lockdown saw an increase in people using digital routes. But actually, since lockdown, we've seen an uptick in people using cash. Possibly because they're budgeting in the difficult financial situation many households are in. But people are saying they do want to spend in cash. And when we spoke to people like the markets, street markets, cash is still king in those sorts of environments. So it's not good, not dead yet, but the government's doing this thing called a financial inclusion strategy. So it's looking overall at how people use money and access services that require that sort of spending. And we're saying to them to really think about these things and perhaps do a bit of work to find out where cash is accepted and where it's not, and what the impact is on different groups of people.
And part of the problem, as Bev's alluded to, the banks, they're closing so many cash machines now. The high street where I live in North London, there were 3 bank machines. They've all gone, which is making it more and more difficult to get cash. How can you persuade the banks that they've got a community duty to keep cash available?
Well, this is interesting, and certainly the bodies that deal with providing cash, so this is different from accepting it in a business, of course, are all private. The government's introducing this thing called banking hubs, and we'll wait to see how that goes. That's an aim to get that money. That's more, though, perhaps, Andrew, other than for those of us in London, it's less of an issue than it is for perhaps rural areas, where banks have closed in villages and small towns in quite large numbers. But the two are definitely connected, and we touch on that in our work. Because if businesses can't bank the cash that they receive from customers, that means that they're maybe more inclined to lean into not accepting cash at all. But I think a lot of businesses just would not have thought of the impact on some of those individuals that can only pay by cash. And one of the other things we're very concerned about is what we call the poverty premium. If you haven't got much money and you only use cash because you haven't got a smartphone and you're worried about overspending, even if you do have a card, you're using it to budget, there are fewer and fewer places, if there are fewer and fewer places where you can spend that money, you may end up paying a higher price for your goods and services than those of us who can use digital. But I've been trying to use cash more since we've been doing this work.
I was
and
going
it's
to
really
ask
interesting
you,
in the supermarket, for instance, there can be a long queue.
Yeah, but do you always carry cash? Because I do, as a point of principle, I always carry cash.
Yeah, I do, and especially since we picked up on this issue about women, mainly women, but people, victims of domestic abuse. I make the point of trying to pay in cash when I can. Sometimes I still do use digital, but I think it is important that the more of us, use it or lose it, really. That we show that it's still legal tender. It's something that we should. It's you physically can see it. I think it's something that's important to do, and there's lots of places in my part of central London where cash is just not accepted.
At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo, and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. So by becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please do consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most.